Hello everybody, my name's Professor Reach. While you watch this video today, get a notepad. Every time you hear an interesting phrase, write it down. Easily the most popular type of English learning video on YouTube is the vocabulary video. And these videos often consist of a YouTuber saying, oh, instead of thank you, try saying this. Oh, I'm so grateful, and things like that. Now, I do that as well. You can see lots of my shorts are that kind of video because that's what people search for, and those videos do quite well, and they're really easy to make. However, one of my concerns as a professional and long-term language teacher are that these videos often lack context. And even when they have context, the context is synthetic. That means the context is not authentic. It's not a real situation. It's not real English. And you get a lot of problems when you learn language from a synthetic source. First of all, it doesn't tend to stick. So if you watch a video that gives you 10 different ways of saying, I don't agree, for example, you might really like one of them and then you'll remember it because, you know, you really like it. However, you don't have the real context about when to use that because you didn't experience it in a real conversation. And the reality is, language is a lot more complex than just saying, oh, here's 10 words that mean this one thing. That's not really how language works. We might say, for example, that sorry and I do apologize. We might say those two phrases are synonymous. They have the same function. That's true. But if we look at how those two different phrases are used, sorry, I do apologize. If we look at that in the real world, when people have conversations, we'll see that actually there are some differences there. There's differences about the situation, the tone. Do you use it with friends? Do you use them with colleagues? Do you use them in formal situations or do you use them in casual situations? And if we don't have an authentic context, that is, we haven't experienced this language in the real world, then that can cause problems in terms of the situations when we think we should use that language. So, what's a better approach for learning vocabulary? Well, don't think in terms of, oh, I need 10 new phrases to say I agree, for example. Don't do that. Instead, just listen to some real English like this, like me now. This is real English. I'm talking to you just naturally. Listen to some real English, and as you're listening, think about any of the useful phrases that person uses that you would like to use. You could well understand easily all the words the person's using. And maybe you think, oh, well, this is kind of simple. This language is too simple. You know, I understand it all, so there's nothing to learn. That's definitely not true. Because when you say you understand it all, you're talking about your receptive vocabulary. However, we're concerned here with your productive vocabulary. What phrases do you use to speak? And when it comes to productive vocabulary, nothing is too simple. It doesn't matter if you understand all the words, and maybe all the words in some phrase are all very simple words. But the question is, would you use the phrase? And would you say it in the way that that native speaker says it? If you listen to the way people speak languages, and you listen to the way I'm speaking now, you can almost hear how the language is separated into groups of words. As I speak, it's like I'm speaking like da-da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da, right? And you can see that da-da-da-da, that's a phrase. Da-da-da, another phrase. Da-da-da-da, there's another phrase. So you can kind of see how I think about my own language, how those units of meaning are presented to me for me to use. As a language learner, you need to listen for that, because that tells you, oh, that's a unit. That's a useful unit of language, a phrase. It could be 5 words, it could be 7 words, right? You shouldn't have told her. How many words is that? You shouldn't have told her. You shouldn't have told her. 4, 5, 6. 6. Why does it look at the way I've done that? 6 words. That's 6 words. You shouldn't have told her. That's pretty much a fixed phrase. We can change it a bit. You shouldn't have told him. He shouldn't have told them. Okay. Whatever. The pronouns can easily be substituted. But they've got a 6-word unit of language, in my opinion. The way I say it, you shouldn't have told her. You shouldn't have told her. That's how my mind presents that. And if you really think about this and start to become aware of how you think about your own language, you will start to see that actually this is how you think in your own language as well. This is actually how we process and use language. So this is the best possible advice I can give you on how to frame vocabulary. Stop thinking of vocabulary as being words, and stop worrying about what words you don't know. That's not what we want to do here. What phrases do you use? That's the question. It can be very interesting because sometimes I'll get a student who's got quite a good level of English, technically. So like B2, upper intermediate. And they'll be speaking to me, and I will notice that they don't use any phrases. They don't use any, none, zero. They use no phrases. They speak entirely with isolated words. And then I went to the shops and I could see an extraordinary thing. I noticed the price of toilet roll was so high. You can see them, their brain working, all this energy and effort that they're making as they make word-to-word decisions about their language. Word-to-word decisions. That's a lot of effort. That takes a lot of effort to make word-to-word decisions about language. So you get these people who've studied English for 10 years and they're thinking word to word. I was going to say they're still thinking word to word, but I disagree with the idea that you should ever think word to word. Right from the start of your English learning, you should learn phrases and learn how to change and manipulate phrases. So you get these students, they've been studying for 10 years and they're thinking word for word. So what's the problem? The problem is their fluency reaches a barrier because you can only think so fast with word to word, right? It's like if you try to do mathematics and someone says, what is 6 times 5? 6 multiplied by 5, what's that? And you go, okay, 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 5 is 15, plus 5 is 20, plus 5 is 25, plus 5 is 30. 6 times 5 is 30. It's so slow. That's a bad strategy for multiplication. Word to word, word by word thinking is a bad strategy for fluency. You gotta change over to phrase, right? Language is a collection of phrases, not words. Words are this synthetic component that appear primarily in writing and in dictionaries. That's where words appear. But when we speak, you can see that words are not the unit of language. The unit of language is phrases. So that's basically all I've got to say today. A bit of a different video to what I've been doing. And I'm kind of interested actually to see what reaction this gets. I guess we'll see. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. If you have liked this video, do make sure to smash that like button. Comment down below. I interact with all my comments. If you ask me a question, I will answer it. Subscribe, of course. Definitely share with any friends you have who are learning English, and I will catch you later.